Trevor Tews.
What's happening?
Thanks for coming in and talking.
Thanks for
This
having
is
me.
the first ever interview I'm doing for the show.
Right on. What's the show called?
Musica and Mezcal.
So we're going to start with the mezcal.
So we're going to start with a little bit of Mezcal. In the lovely house of Paco.
Thank you, Paco.
Thank you, thank you. Cheers. He's just drinking coffee.
Yeah, well, someone has to be responsible.
He's going to work in not very long.
Yeah, me too.
You're going to work tonight too?
I'm going to work in not very long.
I'm going to work tonight as well.
The band is actually staying at my house tonight.
How are they?
Yeah, so they're a touring band. I think they're from Winnipeg or Saskatchewan. They're called Apollo Sons.
Okay.
And I met them at Kispiock's Music Festival this year while I was on tour with another band. And he hit me up the other day and he's like, hey, any chance you got like, I don't know, some floor space for us to crash? And I'm like, you're a 8-piece band. I'm like, yeah. I'm like, sure.
There's 8 of them. How are they traveling around? They got like a bus or something?
I think they got a van.
A little
like
big van.
Yeah.
Those are the days, the traveling to each little town and stay. I've stayed in a lot of sound guys' floors here and there.
It's the way to go, especially when you're, if you're an independent band and you don't have like support from a label or you have no grant. It's like you can't afford to hotel every night.
No. Hotel was such a luxury when we were on tour. Like the one we'd spring for one maybe every 4th or 5th town just so that we could shower and freshen up a little bit.
Yeah.
I would always choose then to go sleep still in the van because then I'd have it to myself.
I often slept. It's funny. My first couple tours, we were spoiled. We got like full-size bus with like bunks and everything.
Really?
And we always had one hotel room as like the day room for everyone to shower and stuff like that. But I would always, we would all trade like who got to sleep in the actual hotel.
Yeah.
But I would never take it because I was always afraid that I was going to wake up late and then miss the bus call.
That makes
So I
sense,
would just sleep in my bunk.
Yeah, because then you wake up and you're rolling already.
Yeah, and then we're good to go. And then I don't have to worry
It's
about
my favorite part about being in a tour bus. But to just make note of where we all work, where you do sound at on the regular basis and have for years. You do sound all over town and all over Canada and touring and stuff like that.
Yep.
But guilt&co has been your home for what, 10?
almost
12 years?
10 years. So I moved here in 2012 right at the end and started going to school. So I probably started at Guilt like end of 2013.
Right.
So yeah, we're at a solid 9 years. And I always tell people I could have any job in the world, like any touring job, whatever, and I would still want to work there like at least one day a week.
Right.
Because it's I don't know, it's a special place. If you haven't been, you have to go.
It's the most special place. And that's why I'm really excited to have these conversations and talk to a lot of the musicians that have come through those doors. Because I know for myself as a musician that's in and out of those doors, it's led to just about all of my other opportunities ever since then, based on, knowing people knowing you, people calling you. Before you were doing this at Guilt, like were you doing sound on a pretty regular basis elsewhere? You're from Edmonton?
Yeah, not really. So yeah, I'm from Edmonton. Like I said, I moved 2012 to go to school, and I went to school for like engineering and production. I wanted to do more like studio work.
Yeah.
And that kind of came about because I had started DJing in my hometown, and my friend told me about this program, Ableton. I started messing around on that and was like, oh, I can like make music on my computer. This is pretty cool.
Yeah.
Like maybe this is something I should pursue. So yeah, I went to school for that, but coming out of school with those skills, there's not like a ton of job opportunities.
No, yeah.
There's kind of a few paths you can take. You can work in a studio, as a runner for like a year, getting people coffee and maybe someone gives you an opportunity.
Doing all the work for no money?
For no money. Or you can go out on your own, but no one wants to pay you. Yeah.
No.
So I
haven't been a runner for 2 years.
Yeah. And I mean, prior to this, I worked in hospitality in restaurants as a chef for like years. So I felt like I had put in my time of doing grunt work.
Yeah,
and didn't want to go down that path. So I kind of fell into live sound. I volunteered for a couple things, met some people, which eventually led to me meeting this girl, Tanya, Aganaba. Yeah, great R&B soul singer. She was like, "Come down to Guilt. Like, we have a job for you here if you want." And
She was general managing at the time?
Yeah. Her
Okay.
and it was her and someone else, Chris Carter, maybe.
Chris Carter.
Yeah, they kind of tag teamed the role.
Yeah, I didn't know Chris Carter was a GM there until
He used to be branded. So like he would do the more day-to-day operation stuff, like be on the floor, and then Tanya was more the like booking the music and kind of the business interactions with band members and stuff like that.
Right. Yeah, she's a legend at Guild.
She is a legend.
I didn't realize how much of a legend she was until she came back less than a year ago.
Yeah.
And played, and we kept we kept the place open for an extra 2 hours because she didn't want to get off stage.
That's so nice.
And everybody's looking around like, yeah, keep it going.
Yeah, I was supposed to tour with her actually, maybe a month ago, and some people got sick and couldn't make it, but maybe there'll be another one.
Yeah, hopefully. But you do a lot of touring, right? Like,
yeah, I did a bit this year. I mean, obviously, we had a nice 2-year break from everything. But prior to that, yeah, a little bit of a couple tours, a lot of festivals. So kind of like one-off, you fly in on a Friday, show Saturday, fly back Sunday.
right.
During the summer. But yeah,
Is this a lot in BC or like?
Yeah, Canada.
Yeah.
So I was touring with a lot of country guys. So a lot of stuff out in Ontario, a lot of stuff in Alberta, a lot of prairies, small towns
Where the country music makes sense.
Yeah. So people think you get to see the world, but you see like, a 7-Eleven in every city or a Tim Hortons.
Yeah. Yeah, I've driven through Saskatoon several times. And it looks the same every time.
Yeah, what's that? I think there's a joke like it's the only place you can watch your dog run away for like 3 days. It's so flat.
Yeah, 100%.
Well,
yeah.
this mezcal's great.
It is. You got to have a little bit of, motivation for the conversation. This is also just kind of keeping going what we've been doing the last couple nights. So as we all said, Trevor's soundman at Guilt. I work at Guilt. Paco works at Guilt. So we often end a lot of the nights after working there by chilling and kind of just decompressing. And shots of Jameson, Yeah. And then the cleaners come in and we go outside and realize it's sunny outside. So the fact that we're here today at 1:30 is impressive because I woke up like 40 minutes ago.
Yeah.
You have 2 kids though, so you probably have to get up.
Yeah, I have to get up a little earlier.
Yeah, that makes sense.
A little earlier than I used to be able to. But my partner lets me sleep sometimes because she knows I'm out later than she is. So that's
that's a blessing.
That's nice. Yeah. Because the going to bed at 4 and then waking up at 7 you can't do too many of those in a row.
No, it's gonna wear on you.
Yeah.
Even going to bed at 4 and waking up at noon gets to a point.
Those are hard. I think just going to bed at 4 in general is probably that's the culprit there.
Yeah, and you say 4, but it's really like I'm getting into bed at 4.
Go to bed at 6.
Yeah, maybe I'm falling asleep by 6 o'clock.
After you scroll IG for an hour.
Yeah. Last night I watched like 7 episodes of King of the Hill. And I got home at like 3 or 4.
That's a show I haven't watched in a long time.
Just went back on Disney Plus and I'm loving it.
Amazing.
Yeah.
I'm going to have to get into that. I've been on the Family Guy still for a long time.
I go through little phases.
That's
all the animation shows.
That's my go-to. You checked out BoJack Horseman?
Yes, I have. Yeah. I really like it.
Favorite.
Yeah.
Will Arnett's a genius.
He is a genius. I'm, plugging other podcasts, as in his podcast all the time. But so you're there tonight at Guilt. The band is staying with you.
Yeah. Some of them at least.
Okay.
I don't know if all 8 of them are going to.
I love that. But that's the kind of the community that is in the world we exist in, right? Like,
yeah, that's what I found at least. Especially like even touring this year, we did the same thing. It was like all the tours that I did were all in a van, and we just stay at people's houses. Like they just billet us. Sometimes it was a couple houses. not everyone go to bed all the time. Sometimes you just get some blankets on the floor, but yeah, people were always more than happy to host.
What's the worst house situation you've ever rolled into?
Honestly, I can't think of a house situation that was super terrible. I remember a tour we did, and our band leader booked us a hotel that was pretty grim. And I actually ended up staying at my friend's house that evening. But when I got in the vehicle, they were telling me stories of like, they got in there and there was like blood on one of the pillows. And I'm like, no, there's no way. I'm like, I'd sleep outside before I slept in that hotel.
We stayed in a few bad ones. We went to this one that, looking back, it was probably like a puppy mill or something. Like there's just dogs everywhere, kind of unruly. There was no flooring. It was just like kind of plywood floors in this house, but the dogs would shit and piss everywhere. And so like, oh yeah, come. Like, we went back to like party with them, and then they put us up in their house because, and then we don't have to get a hotel. So we went to this bedroom that we were going to stay in, and me and my bandmate got on the bed with all our clothes fully on and like jackets, and just kind of did the Dracula sleep on our back. And
then, don't touch anything.
Yeah, don't touch anything. And then we didn't even, I think we again left probably before they even woke up, because we're like, we got to get the fuck out of here.
Yeah.
I've stayed in a few houses where I guarantee you the owners of those houses don't know that we're there. Like, a couple times we've been on the road, and it's like, this young couple or young two people or whatever invite us back to their house and offer us to stay, and it's like a mansion, and the people that are bringing us back, they're like 21. She's like, this is all right.
Like, hang on, this doesn't quite check.
It doesn't check out.
What do you guys pay for rent?
Yeah. We were at one, and we ended up one of the owners of the house found out that we were there and weren't too happy about it, and came down and kicked us out. And we get into the van, start leaving, going nowhere. We're just driving like a few blocks away to park and sleep. And my guitar player pulls out these Dolce & Gabbana shoes. He's like, yeah, I got these on the way out. I was like, you motherfucker.
Just stole some
guy's shoes.
But, like, didn't even know
you
guys were staying there. Yeah.
I think he still has them.
Yeah. He didn't do anything? Like, does he wear them?
You know the guy.
Okay.
He may or may not live with me.
And, yeah, well, we won't put him out.
Yeah.
This is all starting to come together now.
Yeah, he definitely wore them. He definitely wore them quite a bit.
Yeah.
And at first I was real mad about it. I remember like just ripping him on the way away from the house. But as the years have gone by, it's pretty funny.
Yeah.
I mean, the guy didn't need another pair of shoes. He got them from a closet full of shoes.
That's what happens when, it's the end of the night and you get a couple too many Jamesons in you.
Yeah.
Suddenly you think that like, this person's not going to need these shoes.
No.
And you know what? They probably didn't.
Probably. I doubt they even noticed.
That's not the point. We don't condone stealing.
No. Of course, unless it's from a fridge.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Were the shoes in the fridge?
No, they were
if I just put anything in a fridge, is it fair game?
Yeah, it has to be in there for at least 45 minutes. So when you get to the place, you got to scope it out, put your stuff that you want in the fridge.
Great.
Before you get kicked out, you can go back to the fridge and take it.
Tonight, I'm going to make sure that the mods put the cash out in the fridge.
I'll make sure I do that for you.
Yeah.
Well, they're sleeping in your house tonight, so just make sure you watch what goes in and out of that fridge.
There you go.
That's funny.
Speaking about modding, that's how long have you been at Guild now?
Over a year and a bit, year and a half-ish. And when I got the job there, it was I loved it. I still love every minute that I'm there. It's my favorite place in the world. And so I got a job just doing the door, and they were needing some people to move up because a few people had just left who were on the manager circuit, and yeah, it's within about a month or two of me being there, I was a manager, and I love it. I love it. Again, like as somebody who is there all the time. I've been in the music scene in Vancouver for a while, and people maybe knew who I was, but didn't know me. And so now that I'm interacting with every single band that comes through, not just the bands, but people who just come, interacting with everybody who comes through, my opportunities and calls from musicians asking for stuff has gone higher than it's ever been because of those connections I've been making at this place that has all the best people come through it on a pretty regular basis.
Yeah.
What's your experience with that?
Guilt's a bit of a hybrid place because it's a cocktail bar.
Yeah.
And it serves food. So there's seats, like without the music, it could still operate just as a bar.
Yeah.
So it has kind of a built-in crowd of people that would come there just because it's a cool place to come.
Yeah.
And then it's also a venue. So you have people that are coming there specifically for the music. And a lot of venues, like things are ticketed, or, there's a promoter that will book a band, promote the show, sell tickets, and you have people coming for very specific shows. That means like you're not going to get random people off the street like stumbling into a Commodore show so it's built a community in that sense of it's a place you can go where you know that the music's always going to be good. The atmosphere is always going to be good. You can like sit down, enjoy a nice drink, have a bite to eat. It's not much of a gamble.
No, exactly.
In terms of like, is the night going to be enjoyable? Mm-hmm. Whereas, if you're trying to find new music or new music to go see, unless it's a band, like you're taking a gamble. Sure, you can go watch some videos online or maybe you've heard some of their music, but you still don't know if they put on a good show.
Right.
Because I'm sure you've seen a lot of artists that you're like excited to see, and you go see their live show and you're like, that was kind of disappointing.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, it's built this reputation that it's always going to be pretty high caliber. Even if it's not a genre that you're into.
Yeah, say it's country night or something.
Yeah, say you're not into country, it's still going to be some of the best country musicians 100%. That the city has to offer.
People often come in not knowing. They don't look at the website. They don't know who's playing. They just come because they know it's exactly what you said. There's an expectation level that's going to be up here, and it's almost always there or way above it. And a lot of that has to do with Paul Clark, who books that room.
Yeah. I think it even not to downplay Paul, because Paul has been doing such an amazing job at bringing in different artists and new artists that we haven't had in here. And he's trying to do something too, where he wants to, help some of the newer, younger artists kind of have a place to start and be able to build themselves up. But I really think it starts with Jordan, who's the owner.
Yeah.
And it kind of trickles down from there, because he genuinely cares about people and he cares about the art. And he's not afraid to invest in both of those things, whether it's like with his time or money, equipment, whatever it is.
Right.
I don't think that place operated in the green for a long time.
Yeah.
It was kind of subsidized by a restaurant that was upstairs called Chill Winston. So Chill Winston was the thing that made the money, and Guilt was just kind of like this thing that could happen because there was money being made.
Right.
So when Chill Winston
project.
Yeah, when Chill Winston closed, we really had to, everyone kind of reassessed what the business was and the business model. And the business model wasn't really a great one in terms of business. It was like, hey, we're going to guarantee musicians money every night, no matter what. Mm-hmm. We're going to hire a sound tech and guarantee him money every night, no matter what. And that's expensive.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a decent guarantee for musicians. So that's money just going out every single night, Jordan, not knowing if money's coming in.
We just had a meeting on the managers did with Jordan recently, and he told us that last year Guilt was the highest payer of local musicians across all of Canada. Almost $450,000 last year was paid into the pockets of the musicians and the techs and the people who make it happen from Guilt's, bank account. So
Yeah.
that's insane.
And it's because
To think of the cost of a bar of almost $500,000 is just like for the music every year. That's
and it's because he was willing to lose money for a long time to build the reputation of the space and to be able to have musicians trust that it's a great place to play, and to build the trust of the community to know that it's a place where you're always going to see great music. And most people aren't willing to lose money for a long time for something bigger, right? Everyone always wants well, what's the bottom line? How are we going to make money off this?
It's not a great business model.
It's not a great business model, but it's one of those things that if you invest in something long enough and you really care about the people that are helping to make it happen, it pays off in the end.
Yeah.
And, I don't see the numbers all the time, but I know that we're doing well. I don't think we're, not raking in money hand over fist.
We're doing better than ever.
Yeah, we're doing, this is some of the best sales that we've done, and the most amount of people that have been out to see live music. It's pretty consistent. Having lineups on a Wednesday night, where lineups used to only happen on Friday, Saturday. Yeah. And not every Friday, Saturday.
Last night, we were slammed the entire night.
Tuesday night,
there was a lineup. There was a lineup. I went out to give a little hand to the door, and at one point there was about 30 people waiting on a Tuesday night to get in.
Yeah. And that's incredible. And I mean, part of that is just the reputation that Guilt has. Part of it is the artist that was playing. I think Petunia and the Vipers, that was his first time playing at Guilt. And
was it really?
Yeah, I think he's a bit of a local legend.
From the crowd that he gathered, and everybody seemed to know way more about him than I did.
Yeah.
And yeah.
So all those things combined, and you get a Tuesday night that's feels like a Thursday or Friday.
Yeah, 100%.
And part of that is Paul, right? Paul, the relationships he's built with musicians and getting them in there, because a lot of these bigger artists, it's they won't play smaller clubs because they don't make enough money.
Right.
So the fact that we are able to pay artists and that they can walk away on a Tuesday with a decent amount of money and pay all their band members, that's pretty cool.
It's really cool.
Because there's not really anywhere else in the city that does that. There's music and there's venues, a couple, but it's tough.
Yeah, it's not a money-making venture in any other local bar. Even I play a lot of the other little bars, and little, bigger, same size, and nothing comes close to Guilt's payouts. Yeah. Nothing. But speaking of some of the bigger guys that have come through, I remember before I worked there, Corey Henry had a gig in town, organ keyboard from Snarky Puppy.
Yeah.
He came and played Guilt after his gig because, again, the reputation of this place being the local music bar that the musicians are around and respect, and he's one of the biggest players in the world, and he came and played Guilt.
Yeah, he played our little venue.
Yeah.
That holds maybe 150 people.
Yeah, we've been known to squeeze a few more in sometimes, but
yeah, that was a fun night. I actually did the sound for his previous show.
Oh, really?
And so it was at VCC, the university, in their little kind of auditorium theater thing. And I remember getting there. It was kind of a last minute ask. And so I get there and I see the gear that they have, and they're not really set up to do big shows. They do, small jazz things where all they need is a speaker and a couple mics.
Yeah.
So I get there and I'm like, well, we don't have what we need to put this show on. So last minute, we're going to Long and McQuaid to rent speakers, monitors, cables, a soundboard, the whole thing. So
15 drum mics.
So we get and I had realized that I was also working the show at Guilt. And I'm like, okay, there's going to be a short turnaround time here. So while they went to get the gear from the music store, I ran to Guilt to set up for Corey Henry. So set up the stage exactly the way they wanted it. And I'm like, cool, as soon as I'm done at VCC, I'll be able to roll in and we'll just go.
Mm-hmm.
And I was really worried about the show at VCC. I was nervous because I'd never worked in the room and I hadn't been doing a lot of sound outside of Guilt at that point. And I knew that these guys, you know, they're professionals, and I just didn't want to.
Legit, some of the best in the world.
Yeah, I didn't want to mess it up. So they ended up being a little late. They had some trouble crossing the border, which gave me extra time to set up. They get there, we sound check, show goes great. So now I have like an hour and a half to tear all this equipment down, bring it to Guilt so I can return it tomorrow, and like get ready for the show at Guilt.
Right.
We get to Guilt. Everyone's been like waiting for this guy for an hour because we're all.
I remember that. Yeah, he didn't go on
behind.
until like 1 o'clock or 2. Yeah,
it was late, so everyone's kind of like, "What's going on?" So we rush in there. Corey sees his setup and he's like, "No, I want to play the Hammond." And his guys that are touring with him are like, "We're not carrying this Hammond down these stairs." If you've ever been to Guilt, there's really only one way to get in, and it's down a flight of stairs.
There's no elevator. There's no wheelchair ramp. It's just
and if you know anything about Hammond organs, they're not light. So these guys, this is like the end of their tour, and they're like, "We're not carrying that down."
Yeah.
And so he's like, "Okay, well then go to the van. I want every keyboard I have."
Yeah.
That's like 7 keyboards.
Yeah.
I barely have enough channels for all these keyboards. So now we're like, what I thought was already set up is not set up. So now we're setting up and people are, you know, pressure's on, people are staring. And we finally get set up. We do like a quick line check, fire everything up. And he wants it pretty loud. And that's a small room.
Yeah.
We fire it up and there's just feedback. Just so much feedback. And I'm freaking out now. Because I'm like, oh my God, this is the gig that I thought was going to be
easy. And this is
easy.
your home base.
This is my home.
Yeah, yeah.
And it's going terribly.
Yeah.
And I remember JC, who was the guy booking the music at the time.
Yeah.
Amazing bass player.
Yeah, he played with Tanya, right?
Yeah. He's standing beside me and he's like, "Can I do anything for you?" And I'm like, "Not really." He's like, "Okay, just, you're good." And I'm like, "Okay." And I have like all these other musicians coming up, like, not to criticize me, but like genuinely like, "Hey, like, can we do anything to help?"
Yeah. I want to ease the tension a little bit.
And so Corey kind of stops the show and he's like, "Hey, sorry guys, like we rushed in here. We're just gonna," and he was super respectful. He was like, "We're just gonna like take a minute to do an actual sound check and then we'll get the show going."
Mm-hmm.
And I was kind of like, "Oh, this is like a little embarrassing that we're stopping, but also like, thank you."
Yeah. Yeah.
So we did a proper sound check, got the show going, and it was incredible.
Yeah. I remember that night. It was phenomenal. But it almost made it cooler that he rolled up a little later and that we were waiting there. Cause I remember getting there super early just so we can get a table.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, everybody's gonna be standing up. You don't need a table. But I remember getting there real early. My friends got there even earlier than I did to, you know, get a good spot. And just like, you know, the anticipation of waiting for one of the best, you know, keys, organ musicians, talents of our day. The time that we had to wait made me want it more when it finally came.
Yeah.
And then he still played. So he's played for what I remember to be at least a couple sets.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. They played for a while and like longer than like we stayed. That was another night that we just stayed open.
I remember that. Yeah.
And yeah, I mean, it was cool because the amount of other musicians that were in the room that night, like Guilt's really a spot that musicians come to watch other musicians.
Yep.
Right? Like obviously you have the general public and all walks of life, but yeah, it's the spot in the city that musicians go to see other musicians. So that I think was a really special night for a lot of the local people in town because like, yeah, he's a legend, right? So to see someone at that caliber playing is pretty cool and inspiring.
100%. I was there with 4 or 5 other guys, all of whom are phenomenal local musicians. Yeah, and every time they've come, I haven't seen Corey again since, because I've seen Starkey Puppy a few times, having just come through the Commodore or whatever.
Yeah,
but he hasn't been a part of the team that night or whatever, because he kind of floats in and out.
Yeah, but we had Ghost Note, I think, came and played, and they're a bunch of guys. I think they're involved with Snarky Puppy,
Right?
Maybe a bunch of like Berkeley guys,
Yeah.
like heavy musicians. There was a trio called Fork, FORQ. This guy Henry Hayes, a killer piano player, he's toured with, like, you name it, toured with him. I think the drummer was D'Angelo's drummer.
Oh wow.
Was it Jason
Derulo?
No. Daru Jones? I can't remember.
It's obviously not Jason Derulo.
But we've gotten like some really, really heavy musicians from the States. And we have a bit of a reputation, not just like locally, but Gastown is a pretty touristy place, and we'll get people from Europe, from the States, and they've just heard from like one person that came and had a great time, and they're like, "Oh, Guilt&Co, you have to go to this place," and they're always blown away.
Yeah, last night half of the room was people from not Canada.
Yeah,
and almost to a T, everybody, as a couple of them had to deal with ID things at the door, and he's making sure they got in, and every single one of them, as they're coming in, said to me like, we heard about you guys, like we were gonna give you guys a shot. We heard really good things, and in those moments, I'm so proud to be like, come inside. Just wait till you get inside, because your expectations are going to be blown away. And they always are. Everybody leaves that place grateful that they were in that place. Because, a lot of times people ask me, wait, so like, is this like a special thing that you're doing the music tonight? Like, no, man, like there's 2 different acts every single night.
Yeah.
All year round. We take a break.
That's over 600 shows a year.
Yeah. We take 3 days off a year for Christmas and Christmas Eve and Boxing Day.
Yeah, wow. You're right. It is only 3 days.
Yeah.
That's a lot of shows.
That's over 700.
A lot of shows to book. Yeah, well, good on Paul, man. That's a lot of work. And to find new music and keep it fresh.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's not just the same band every night.
100%.
There's another place here in town, the Roxy, which was kind of legendary for a long time, I'd say.
Yeah, 100%. Still is.
And it still is. And the venue's good, and the musicians that play there are great, and I don't want to call anyone out, but I feel like they've gotten a little stagnant. It's just the same house band kind of.
Yeah.
Most nights, like every Wednesday is the same band, every Thursday is the same band, and that's cool. I mean, if that model works and that's what's working, then all the power to you. But yeah, to be able to constantly get different acts in throughout the year, like that's a lot of work.
And Guilt definitely has its regulars, regular acts, but as a regular. You can go up on stage a lot if you're a musician playing with a lot of different acts that play up on the stage. But as a regular, like you're still only really getting booked once a month, maybe even less than that, because there's the list of great people who were there as regulars is really high.
Yeah, and everyone has multiple projects.
Yeah, 100%.
Which is cool. So sometimes for 4 days in a row, you'll see the same bass player.
Yeah.
Or the same keys player.
Alvin will be up there. Scott will be up there. Yeah.
Yeah. And
Paul will be up there.
You again. Great.
Yeah. Jay will be up there.
But different groups and different styles.
Mm-hmm.
Like last night was really cool. I don't think Petunia's known as like a jazz guy.
Oh, yeah?
I think he's more like rockabilly, country.
Yeah.
But he's got 2 really heavy jazz players in his band.
What were their names again?
Sky Lambar. Sorry, Sky, if you're listening. Fucked up your name. Sky, and then Joe Abbott. And so Joe Abbott is a clarinet player. Sky's a trombone player. But they're also multi-instrumentalists. So they were trading off. Joe was playing guitar for a bit. Sky was playing bass.
Right.
And yeah, they played a bunch of jazz tunes, which I don't know if that's a regular thing for Petunia.
Yeah.
But I feel like it's not. But just the versatility of different players and And again, a kind of a community thing where, Petunia probably asked these guys to play, and they're like, cool, yeah, we'll play. How do you feel about doing a couple like songs that we like to play? And, everyone's like, yeah, sure.
Of course.
I'll learn some jazz tunes. Why not?
It's because it's such a privilege to be on stage with somebody who's been making you, not better is the wrong word, but makes you see it in a different light, lets you do something you don't normally do.
Yeah.
Right. It's really fun. I get the opportunity sometimes just to jump up on stage because a lot of my friends are playing on a regular basis. And the funnest part is sometimes I'm jumping up, say with Scott and I should know his name, saxophone player.
Dave Mergens.
Dave Mergens.
Yes.
Scott and Dave. Is it Dave?
Yeah.
Okay, yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
when they're doing like an early show.
Yes. And their vibe is like amazing loungy jazz kind of music.
Yeah.
I'd never get to sing that style or vibe. And then if I jump on stage with them, it's just fun to sit in their world for a little bit, and play in their little playground.
Yeah. That's a thing that used to happen a lot, and it still happens. You just never know who's going to jump up, who might be in the audience, who's also a musician.
Yeah.
I've had nights where it's rotating constantly.
Mm-hmm.
Drummers are swapping out, bass players, guitar players. Like you'll have like upwards of 10 singers that'll just rotate.
Yeah.
There used to be a night called This Is Not a Band. I think we still do it every once in a while. It was a little messy. The girl that was booking it would just pick musicians she knew and randomly just throw them together. So you'd have someone that was, used to playing metal, and then a guy that played jazz, and then someone that did hip hop, and just kind of hope for the best. And it didn't always work. Yeah. In fact, it was a train wreck quite a bit of
I can imagine.
But it did, again, it formed this community of getting people out of their comfort zone and playing with other people. And eventually it turned into a bit more of a curated thing where, one band leader would pick different musicians.
Right.
And they wouldn't go into it with a plan, and it wouldn't be a complete jam. But you'd be playing with people that maybe you don't normally play with, or playing music that you don't normally play.
Exactly, yeah.
And I think that's so cool too, to just get people just having fun.
Mm-hmm.
So many times I think musicians, when you do something as a job, you have to take it so seriously, and then you forget the reason that you started doing it to begin with.
Yeah, totally.
And like, I don't know that a ton of people have gone into the music industry being like, oh yeah, I'm going to get rich. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, that's the thing. And as local, gigging musicians, you also really want to respect the fact that this is everybody's job. And so you're not just going to ask somebody, hey, can you give me your whole night for free, or pay you less than the whatever. But at Guilt, those rules don't really apply, because everybody who's playing there isn't coming to Guilt, even though they are one of the best paychecks in town. People are jumping on stage and playing for a set just because they want to play there for a set. They're like, no. Like, I'll go do my Fairmont gig tomorrow and get paid. Yeah. Tonight, I just want to be on the stage and have a good time.
And like, we had, I think, a pre-pandemic, like Mother played at Guilt, not the whole band, and I don't think they're technically allowed to play as Mother, so it was just the boys, and they billed it as other. But I mean, like these are guys that, like, they were just on tour with Imagine Dragons. Yeah. Playing stadiums and stuff. Yeah. And yet those kind of people are still like, no, I'll go play a Guilt gig. Mm-hmm. Like that says a lot. And like they're not doing it for the money.
Of course, yeah.
So what is it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's that stage. It's that special room.
Yeah,
it's that. I remember when I was talking to Paul about being in the world, I said it's just the most affirming thing in the world for me as a musician was being in that world. Like, it's just it's a very, very special place, and because it's such a special place, it's very tangible to everybody who walks through the doors and all the musicians who come in and out.
Yeah, it's pretty, like I said, it's gotten a reputation. It's iconic, especially within the music community. for sure. I think the general public are starting to realize what it is, but I don't think it's like, it's not popular the way you'd think of like a chain as popular, you know,
Right.
like that just everyone knows about it.
Yeah.
But I think that almost makes it more special because you have to kind of find it.
Mm-hmm.
It's not just right there. I mean, even getting into the building,
You have to know where it is.
like for the longest time, like we finally have a sign that can be seen
Above ground.
above. But for the longest time, it was just like I think it was just a chalkboard outside,
Uh-huh.
and it's like it's not. You can't see it well. The address isn't anywhere to be seen. So you really have to know it. Like
Yeah, the address doesn't even bring you to the door. It brings you behind the building.
Yeah.
And then we have a big chain restaurant right on top of us.
Yeah.
With signs all over the building. And so everybody just assumes that's,
Yeah,
the
it's kind of
building.
tough to find. So
Yeah.
it makes it feel even more of like this hidden gem.
Yeah, 100%. And then people walk by on a busy night and see the lineup going up the stairs and around the block. And like, oh, something's in there I need to go see.
Yeah.
You know?
Which is crazy. I can't imagine. And maybe I'm just spoiled now because I get to be there every night, but like I can't imagine waiting in a line.
I know.
I can't imagine, like I can't,
I know.
I just like,
It's been a long time since I've waited in a line.
yeah, time is just too precious. You know what's funny? There's literally a sign you can see, maybe not from the line, maybe from the street, but there's a neon sign above one of the buildings that literally says time is precious. I just think that's funny that people are waiting in line. But I mean, that's.
But they do it. And they're happy. I'll go out into the line sometimes and say to we got a really hot band in there. Nobody's going to leave for at least 45 minutes because that's when their set is done. And I tell this to everybody in line just so everybody knows. I'm like, hey, listen, like, please stay in line, but you're probably not going to get in for a little bit of time here. And nobody ever leaves because when you're standing in line, you can hear the music.
Yeah.
You know what's going on in that room, and you need to get in even more.
Yeah.
And it's worth 45 minutes to get in that room.
Well, and there's no substitute for it.
No.
That's what I mean. Like,
people ask me where else can we hear live music? Not anywhere within walking distance.
There's some places, but it's not going to be this.
No, it's not the same vibes. Every now and then I'll go to the back of the line and just kind of handpick a few people. Say it's going to take them an hour and a half, 2 hours to get in. I'll go back and just grab one or two. Never more than one or two, but I grab them. Maybe somebody's by themselves or a little couple who's cute and on a date. And I say, hey, guys, just follow me. Let me bring you the back doors.
And it's little things like that add to the whole experience of being there. Like on top of the fact that like the vibe of the room is great. The drinks are great. The food is great. Like you've just completely made someone's entire night.
Yeah.
Just by like that one little thing, like, hey, we're going to get you in right now.
Yeah.
Or, just sometimes when it's slow, telling people a story or a bit of the history of the place or the tunnel.
Showing them the tunnel.
The tunnel is always, that's an easy one, man. There's a tunnel at the back, which is used for the green room. But it's cemented off on either end now, of course, but it apparently went all the way through Gastown and like all the way to the docks, I believe.
Yeah, well, like the building was built in the 1800s, and so apparently the Guilt room used to be the old like icebox room for all the restaurants and places in Gastown.
Okay,
and so I believe even to the docks because they'd have things brought in through that way, and then all throughout Gastown, the icebox would get taken in these tunnels to the other restaurants and hotels and establishments and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So the tunnel is still existing there, and that's where
and in other places, like the place across that used to be Peck and Paw.
Yeah.
Down in their bathrooms, you can see part of the tunnel.
You have
like little windows.
Yeah.
And you can see part of the tunnel in there.
Yeah, you can. Yeah.
I haven't seen it in any other buildings. Not that I've gone searching for it, but I'm sure there's access to other parts of that tunnel.
You'd think. I'd be interested to like, is the tunnel is it filled in? Is it open? I know you can't access it from our place anymore.
I would assume that it's probably filled in most spots.
I mean, there's a lot more trucks driving on the top of the roads these days.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, that'd be interesting to I'd like to get a hold of like a map of like where it all went.
Some old photos or something.
But yeah, even so, just, showing someone the tunnel or telling them the story of that is like, that is that extra little thing that makes the place special. Just like taking time to just make sure someone has a great evening is kind of, that's what the place is all about. And I mean, that's why I'm on, year number 10.
Yeah.
And wouldn't give up that gig for very few things.
Yeah, that makes total sense.
Very few things.
And you also run, like you book the sound when you're not there, right?
Yeah, so I do all the hiring of all the other techs, and much like Paul with the musicians, I try to get really experienced techs in, so like people that know more than me.
Yeah,
because I want to learn more. I want the place to evolve, so if there's like better ideas of speaker placement or what have you, like, that's valuable information. But then I also try to hire people that are kind of starting out and give them a shot, and maybe schedule them on slower nights with smaller setups. Because otherwise there's not a ton of places industry either.
Yeah.
Like besides school or maybe you're in a band and you end up doing your own sound.
Right.
But so it's kind of an entryway for people. And then those are the same people that I hire for other things, for shows that are outside of Guilt. Or I'm working at a theater right now and we need some more people, so I'll probably just pick people from Guilt.
Yeah.
I think Adam's going to come do the run of Sound of Music with me.
Oh, beautiful. And the love that's shared is continued.
Yeah. Yeah, it's all about sharing the space, sharing the work.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. What's your experience been? I mean, as a musician, you talked about it a little bit about being able to get up and kind of be a part of someone else's world, genre-wise or whatever.
Yeah.
Where did you play before Guilt?
I mean, I gigged quite a bit. I played Guilt years ago, but it was never, my name on the chalkboard. I was always playing keys or backup singing for somebody. But I played everywhere in Vancouver. I've got the chance to open for a lot of cool bands. Played a lot of times at the Commodore, the Vogue, or the Roxy. Of course, Portside, I play all the time still. And all the little places I played. But in coming to Vancouver and playing all the other places, Guilt was the only one that I cared what they thought of me. I cared what the musicians who were there, I cared what the staff thought of me, I cared what the people thought of me, because that was the one that I felt like if I made it in that, if I could make it there, I can make it anywhere kind of vibe. And because I'm there a lot more often and people are A, know who I am as a musician, but B, know who I am as a person through just working there. It's the biggest joy of my working experience to go to serving a table or getting somebody in at the door, and then Crystal Dos Santos or Adam Robert Thomas or Scott Verbeek or somebody says, "Hey, there's somebody here. Maybe we can get them just on stage for a song." Then I go up and I sing a song, and then I get off stage and go right back to the table I just gave a drink to, and their eyes light up because it's like, oh, like, you're all a part of this.
Yeah.
You're all a bigger part of this than just, what we can see on the surface here. And that's the thing that Guilt, we have a lot of performers that work on our staff.
We have a lot right now.
A lot, yeah.
We have Lua, Morgan,
Bradley,
yourself, Adam, Bradley. Is there anyone?
I really don't want to forget anybody.
I mean, Ashley a little bit. She just left us.
And we've had a lot. And
Carly used to work there.
Yeah.
That's one of my favorite things is that you, as a guest, you can be there. Someone's bringing you a drink 1 minute, and the next minute they're like crushing Prince, Purple Rain,
exactly,
and like just rock starring it, and then like just back to serving drink, and people were like, "What just happened?"
The tips inevitably go a little higher in that situation.
Yeah,
but again, it's that like experience that you're giving that person that then gets to like go and reminisce and talk about that. Remember that time our server went up and like slayed.
Crushed it.
Yeah. And then came and like, got our drink orders and bought us shots. And it's,
I sometimes I forget how cool that really is because I see it all the time. But like to a lot of people, they don't know, they're not surrounded by good music all the time.
Yeah.
And I have to remind myself of that. So sometimes when something happens in the room that I'm like, oh yeah, that's pretty regular. I gotta remind myself like, no, that's fucking cool.
Exactly.
Like this guy just put his drink tray down and crushed a song.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, where does that happen?
It's awesome. And it's also, I sometimes love it because it's another way for me to meet the musicians on stage. Like I may know one of the guys, but not the other guys.
Yeah.
The other night when HB Wild played, who's a regular-ish at Guilt, and great player, a legend of a player.
Not to name drop, but Jimi Hendrix's cousin.
Jimi Hendrix's first cousin, yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
His daughter works with us at Guilt as well.
That is true. Does she sing?
She does. Yeah, there's another one to the list. And
I don't know if I've ever heard
and I'd known I'd seen all the guys in his band for years and respected the shit out of them, but almost been a little intimidated to like even mention I'm a player or whatever. And I just want to watch you and like you guys are great. You guys are great. You guys are great. Like what drinks you need? Just
because we all know that's the most annoying thing.
Oh my God!
You're a band and someone's like, "Hey, I play bass too.
I'm a player too."
Yeah, you gotta check.
And so HB was at just happened to be in North Van, and myself and Benny were playing over North Van, and he was just in the crowd and kind of recognized me from Guild, and he's like, "Oh," and then I called him up on stage, and John Say was playing bass with us that night as well. Nice. And so he gets on stage and I think, I just want to sing a song or something like, let's do Superstition or something like that. And he went and grabbed John Say's bass. He's like, "Hey, brother," and John Say's like, "Yeah, this is yours. Take it, play it, take it." So then he's playing at Guilt, a couple nights ago, and I was more nervous for that than I've been in a long time because he didn't even know my name until afterwards. Yeah. He's like, "Hey, so there's a bad motherfucker who works here. He's a bad," and his band's like, "What the fuck is the guy? Who? What?" So I get on stage, I play. It's amazing, but in my head, the biggest thrill for me was playing with those guys, playing with those musicians, and then afterwards saying thank you so much for letting me get up here and do this, and then them being like, "Oh man, you're pretty good." I was like, "Oh, like that's that intangible that can only exist within those moments."
Yeah. What'd you sing?
I wish those days.
Ah, yeah, classic.
And then I went into a little. I went into the theme from Fresh Prince in the middle of it, and then HB took it back to the Wild Wild West theme song. It was great. It was great.
Classic mashup.
It is great. It was great to talk to you. We unfortunately have to wrap it up because we all have to go to work.
Oh, that's that's right.
And we were in the house of Paco. Thank you, Paco. Thank you, Trevor. This was great. I feel like we were just scratching the surface and getting loose.
Yeah,
and maybe next time we'll have a few more mezcals and get a little heavier into.
We'll do a late night version
into the crazy stories. But I think this was a great spot to start from, and thank you so much for being our first official.
Yeah, this is cool.
First official guest. You broke the cherry, baby.
Beautiful.
All right. Thank you, Trevor Tews.
Later.